Okay, let's talk about something that every parent dreads, the stomach bug. I mean, few things are more stressful than when a child is sick with diarrhea and vomiting. The worry hits you instantly. So in this explainer, we're going to cut right through that anxiety with a clear, simple guide so you know exactly what to do.
So it happens. Maybe you hear that sound in the middle of the night. Yeah, you know the one. Your child is sick. That immediate feeling of, okay, what do I do now? That's exactly what we're going to tackle. We're going to build a really clear plan of action, from what you can do at home to knowing exactly when it's time to call the doctor.
First things first, let's just take a breath and acknowledge that as stressful as this is, it's also incredibly common. Most kids get what's called gastroenteritis, or the stomach flu. But just because it's common doesn't make it any less scary when it's your kid, especially because of one major risk we need to watch out for.
And here's the crucial thing to understand. Diarrhea is one thing, right? It's concerning, but a child can usually keep drinking to replace what they're losing. Vomiting, though, that changes the game entirely. Not only are they losing fluids, but it's also incredibly hard for them to keep anything down. That's why dehydration can sneak up so much faster when vomiting's in the picture.
So let's get right into the most important part, what you can do right now. You're at home, you've got a sick little one. What are the practical, concrete steps you can take to manage this safely?
Before we get into any of the details, I want you to burn this into your brain. Your number one goal, your top priority is hydration. Everything else, food, comfort, you name it, is secondary. Our entire mission here is to get fluids back into your child. All right, here is your 4-step game plan. First, if you've already seen a doctor and have medicine, make sure you're giving it exactly as prescribed. Number 2, don't worry about solid food. Seriously, just put it out of your mind for now. Third, and this is the big one, offer fluids in tiny, frequent sips. We're talking a teaspoon or a small sip every 10 to 15 minutes. This is key because it won't overwhelm their stomach and trigger more vomiting. And finally, if they actually seem hungry, stick to something super gentle and light.
So, what liquids are we talking about? Well, on the offer list, the gold standard is an oral rehydration solution from the pharmacy. But water, very light soups, coconut water, those are good options too. Now for the avoid list, definitely stay away from dairy for about a week, as it can be tough on an irritated gut. And believe it or not, fruit juices can actually make diarrhea worse because of the sugar content, so let's skip those for now.
Okay, we've covered your at-home plan, but it's just as crucial to know when home care isn't cutting it anymore. So now we're going to shift gears and talk about the warning signs, the red flags that should tell you, okay, it's time to see a doctor.
And honestly, this might be the most important rule of all. Trust your gut. You know your child better than anyone on this planet. If something just feels off or you're getting that worried feeling in your stomach, don't second-guess yourself. Making that call or heading in to see the doctor is always the right decision.
So, here are the specific signs of dehydration you need to be watching for like a hawk. Is your child way sleepier than usual, just kind of listless? Are their mouth and lips dry or sticky? A big tell is crying with no tears. That's a classic sign. Also look for sunken-looking eyes. And maybe the most reliable sign of all, reduced urine output. That means way fewer wet diapers or trips to the potty. That's a big warning.
Now these signs are a little different. They might not just be about dehydration. They could point to something more serious going on. Things like severe stomach pain, especially if it's in one spot. That's not typical for a simple stomach bug. Greenish vomit, a really high fever that just won't break, or anything neurological like being extremely irritable or having a stiff neck. Those are all immediate, we need to see a doctor now signals. Okay, so you know what to do and you know what to watch for. But what is actually causing all this misery in the first place? Sometimes just understanding the why can make the whole situation feel a little less random and scary. The main culprit is usually a condition called gastroenteritis. It sounds fancy, but let's break it down. Gastro means stomach, enter means intestines, and itis just means inflammation. So there you have it, an inflamed stomach and intestines. Most people just call it the stomach flu. But, fun fact, it has absolutely nothing to do with the actual influenza virus. So, the stomach flu generally comes in two main flavors, viral and bacterial. Viral is by far the most common. It's the one that just has to run its course, and our job is just to manage the symptoms, especially hydration, while it does. Bacterial infections are less common, but they can be a bit more intense and sometimes require antibiotics. A doctor might suspect a bacterial cause if there's a really high fever or if you see any blood or mucus in the stool. All right, you've made it through. Your child is feeling better. Phew! Now for the final and maybe most empowering piece of the puzzle, prevention.
What can we do to try and stop this from happening all over again?
You know, it's funny because so often prevention just comes down to really simple, basic hygiene. Washing hands and washing them well is your absolute superpower against these germs. But these other things matter too. Rinsing fruits and veggies, getting leftovers in the fridge quickly, and, yeah, keeping the dog bowl away from where you eat. These little habits make a huge difference.
So, let's just bring it all home. When your child is sick like this, it can feel so overwhelming. But your core plan is actually really simple. Focus all your energy on hydration and keep a calm, watchful eye out for any of those red flags we talked about. You are your child's best expert and advocate. You can handle this. You've got this.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought. We talked about a lot of little prevention tips, but big changes always start with one small step. So what's one simple habit, maybe it's a new rule about hand washing before dinner, that your family can start doing today to help everyone stay a little healthier tomorrow?